Hello and welcome to another episode of The Unshakable Co-Parent. My name is Sarah Komoto, your host. I am a parenting, co-parenting and confidence mentor. Basically, if you have a high conflict co-parent and quote unquote co-parenting doesn't work, I'm your go-to person. So today I'm talking about something a little bit different. We had a break last week. It's been a bit of a crazy few weeks. I launched a new membership. It's the beginning of the year, so it's all happening. But today's episode is really born from a conversation I had in the DMs the other day. And you may resonate with this because it could be something that you've dabbled with or maybe thought yourself. But it's all around the assumptions that we make when we have a co-parent who we assume is going to co-parent, but they don't. And we assume that they don't know what they're doing. So if you've been in that position, ever questioned if you don't know what they're doing, please tune in. So grab yourself a tea, coffee, wine, kombucha, whatever your favorite tipple is, and let's get started. So I was having a conversation in the DM. Somebody reached out to me for help with their, co-parenting and parenting. And this one sentence is something that just rang and resonated with me, and kind of, it's not that it sounds alarm bells, but it really did highlight something to me that I think a lot of women, especially the ones that come to me and work with me in the initial stages, and it can be really hard to reconcile and really work out what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with, even though you've been through it all. It's making the assumption, and it was the sentence that was the woman said, which was, I don't know if he knows what he's doing. Now, he had his own trauma, which is very common. And sometimes, especially if you're highly empathetic or highly sensitive, then that is something that could have got you entangled in that relationship in the first place. First of all, attracted to this person because they also are attracted to you because they like to latch on and take advantage of these great qualities that you have. But also it stops you from actually doing anything to change your situation because of their own trauma or because they don't know what they're doing. I'm doing air quotes. Now, whether they know what they're doing or not, it really doesn't matter because they're doing it. It's not, if they know, then it's bad. If they don't know, then it's not bad. It doesn't work that way. Okay, if it's negatively impacting you and your children, more specifically your children, then Houston, we have a problem. Okay, and I think it's an assumption that a lot of women make. Oh, they don't know what they're doing, or I'm not even sure they're aware, or he's been good. I'm just saying he for ease's sake, but he's been really good lately. Then sometimes he does X, Y, Z, and it seemed really perplexing and confusing for these women when they're explaining this to me. But to me, it's 1 + 1 = 2. I've been doing this a while now, and people can explain their situation to me and I can see straight away where the problem is, where the issues lie, and the best or the next best thing that they need to do in order to start nipping that in the bud. And it's really hard for people to see that because they're, in the situation, so in the thick of it. It's really hard to get that clarity and perspective, but also it isn't what they do all day, every day, speaking to a lot of people about their own situations. They're just in the, almost in a vacuum, living their own lives with their own issues, their own situations. So a lot of assumptions can be made, especially if you're not a coach. You're not going to really question yourself on, do they know, do they not know? And then go further, does it even matter? And to coach yourself, like nobody is really their own coach. A lot of questions that I ask people before we start working together, I hear, oh, that's a great question. Oh, I'm going to have to think about that. It's because we are in our own lives. We don't sit there asking ourselves these questions and really thinking deeply about what the actual problem is, not what we can see on the surface, but what is actually going on. So the point of this episode is basically this woman's perspective was, I'm not sure he knows what he's doing. Now, if somebody has that assumption, that tells me that your strategy, or maybe lack of strategy, in how you deal with that situation and manage that situation, and then also parent your children, is going to be skewed based on that really detrimental assumption. It's a big assumption to make. And it may, like most assumptions, be from nothing. And also, you may not ever get evidence that that's true or not true. You may never get that. Hence why we stay stuck in these cycles, these same patterns. And, patterns and cycles of abuse, but also our own patterns and our own cycles. Giving leeway, having more interactions with them, humoring them, staying engaged in conversations with them, riding those up and down waves, which are highly volatile. So when they're good, you're, good in quotes, you're happy, you can breathe a sigh of relief. When they're bad, you're in the shit. You're on that emotional roller coaster again. And if you're constantly in fight flight mode, that is not sustainable for your health, your well-being. It's not sustainable for you as a woman, for you as a parent. You are just getting into that place where you are going to be burnt to a crisp, especially if those waves and those cycles are frequent. Now, everyone's situation is different. Sometimes their ex could be blowing up their phone every day, every hour, or it can feel like it. Or it may be months of nothing, months of, good co-parenting or actual co-parenting, seemingly on the surface, and then bang. Now, if you listen to me and you have been listening to me for a while and you've heard my other episodes, you will know where I'm coming from with this. Okay, these cycles, these waves, it's what everyone has experienced. And I think 99.9% of the women I speak to or I cross paths with, they make this huge assumption that I've got a handle on this. Oh, it will get better. Oh, it's not that bad. Or the children will realize when they're old enough. Whilst we are thinking these things, that's what keeps us stuck, delaying taking action, delaying doing the thing that we know we want to do, the thing that we know that we have to do. And it could be different for everyone, what it is that what you need to do. But I bet if you're listening to this right now, listen to my words very clearly and very closely. There is one thing in particular that you're putting off. You need to do it. You need to say it. You need to take action. And you just haven't. And yes, fear is a big one. Fear can sit on your shoulder. You can still take action with fear right beside you. Because fear, in my opinion, never really goes away 100%. Or you may have periods where you're feeling like a absolute unfuckwithable woman, where you've got a handle on everything. And then that can do a complete 180 and you're, metaphorically rocking in the corner, bawling your eyes out. Or, maybe literally. Okay? I really want you, if you take anything away from this episode, is to ask yourself, because you know what that is. What is the one thing I am putting off? What's the one thing I know I need to do? I know I need to say. I know I need to take action on, because that one thing will be your stepping stone to the next big thing, and then the next big thing, and then the next big thing. I always tell women that I work with, when they first come on, there are no fireworks, there's no big bang, there's no one thing I'm going to tell you that's going to make it all click into place, and then you run off into the sunset, skipping away, and you're good. It's a process. It takes time. But you have everything that you need within you to make it happen. But a lot of the time, we just don't know the how. We don't know the how. That's why we are stuck. That's why we get in these cycles. That's why year after year after year, things don't get better. Things may stay the same or they get worse. That's just what happens. Okay, so I really want you to think about that. Now, I've just launched, if you've heard on Instagram, the Unshakable Inner Circle. That's my new membership, my new offering. If you feel like you need a community, I've heard about these other online spaces where these groups can get quite toxic because it's all bashing of the co-parent or just very negative space. I can't hold space for that, so none of my containers are like that. It's more obviously empowering, safe space, no toleration for bringing down the vibe, basically, because what we're dealing with, it is heavy, of course. It's to do with our children. So we need to hold that space for one another. So I create spaces that are more upbeat, more high vibe. And yes, we can have challenges, we can have problems, we can talk about them, but we have to give as much time and energy to talking about solutions. Okay? When there are spaces where it's just all problems, I personally cannot be in that space. I'm not even just talking about in co-parenting or parenting, other groups. If there's a group out there, Facebook group, for example, that is full of people who are really bringing down my energy just by reading something that is, I guess complainy. That's what I'm going to say. Complainy, whingy, just very not anyone who is looking for an answer or actual help. Now, wanting to be heard is one thing. We all need to have space for doing that, to be heard, to be validated, to be loved and embraced and not judged. You need safe spaces for that. We all do. There's a lot of shame and there's a lot of guilt attached to what you've experienced. So within the Unshakable Inner Circle, it's a safe space. There's a community feel. We had our first onboarding call earlier this week, and that was amazing just to meet all the founding members there. If that's something that you feel that you need, some peer support, training from me, because I get there's a masterclass once a month, and there's some Q&A, there's some Voxer coaching. Obviously modules, past coaching calls, a whole archive, a whole co-parenting library of other trainings that I've done in the past that you'll get full access to within the membership. So if you're interested in joining something like that and you want to be taught by me, you want to be in this space, maybe you've applied for or to work with me before in the past, it hasn't been the right time, hasn't been the right container, whatever the case may be, come join us. Okay, just need to DM me over at Unshakable Co-Parenting on Instagram. So DM me the word inner circle, INNERCIRCLE, inner circle. Okay. All the details will be messaged to you, and then you can decide if it's aligned for you to be in that space, But basically, if you don't like whinging and complaining, but you want to be guided and supported, and you want to be taught by me, and you want to be with a bunch of amazing kick-ass women, come and join us. I urge you to do that. Okay, so that is just going to wrap up today's episode. I just really wanted to share that. Think about the assumptions that you may have and the assumptions more specifically that keep you stuck in these cycles. And you will know if you're in the cycles because each year, the past year, 2, 3, 4 have been more or less the same or worse than the previous one. It's usually at that point when people find me and they're ready to get shit done and take action. Even if it's just baby steps, that's absolutely fine. All right. So with that, your homework is to ask yourself, what is the one thing I'm putting off? What's the one thing I'm not doing? What's the one thing I'm not saying? What's the one thing I'm not taking action on? And go fucking do it. Okay. All right. Over and out. Love you and leave you. I will see you next time. Bye for now.